and good evening. My name is Ozzy Stern, country Victorian gamer of Star Wars Armada, Star Wars Legion, X-Wing, and many other games. Tonight is a fairly quick video that I'm going to do on building my miniature scenery Torii Arch. Now, as this is from miniature scenery, there is no actual set of instructions. All assembly instructions, painting and everything, are from this website, which has meant that I've had to put it on the computer so I can actually do all of it at the same time. So obviously, firstly, I'm going to have to have a couple of tools, namely a pair of scissors, craft knife, and a tong, or something like a set of tweezers just to prime out if necessary. I'm going to set it up here so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. It comes in a nice flat pack with all the pieces on it that I'll have to cut out to shape as such. So the first thing I want to do, open it up, remove the outer packaging, remove the cover slip, keep that for later. So now I've got the two trays, got all the separate shapes. So the first part we need is a part like this. Now, what I've found, grabbing a craft knife, just going around the edges, just helps to free the actual model up a little bit, the piece, and then basically pops out. You can see that there's usually a little bit of mold, little bit of wood that combines it with the actual sprue, so you will potentially either need to cut it down or potentially file it to actually make it fit. Now, some people will obviously take off all of these parts now to make sure that they have been successful in trimming them all. I've used my craft knife to actually break the seals on all of these parts already, or at least most of them. And this one's still a little bit stiff. And as you can see, it pops out. Obviously, there is a bit of force that needs to be done to actually cut them. so. And that right there is all one sprue completely taken off. So the assembly instructions have 2 of these pieces going like that. 2 of these pieces, one from each side. So they're a pair, 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 they're a pair. This bit on the top and this bit in the middle. So how it works out as is that we go longwise, longwise, and this in the center. Upside down. Now you'll notice that I'm not gluing it yet. I just want to make sure that I've got the right component parts and that they all fit in nicely. With this bit that goes on top like so. And I've got to do that twice. So I'm going to be using this Aqua here wood glue. It's pretty nice. Pull it apart ever so slightly. And then just pour a little bit of glue onto all the sections that's going to be needing that adhesion. And let's combine it all together. Put that out of the way. Bit of glue in each of these. And what I sometimes do with all that excess glue is sometimes I like to run the flap of a particular section that is going to end up being inside along those edges to make a slightly a stronger bond when I end up pushing it together like so. The instructions don't tell you which part to do first in this. It just gives you a basic diagram of what it is, what the components are, and then basically you need to make a judgment call as to how they fit in together. In which order. The company, the miniature scenery, even has kits that have over 200 pieces. The other good thing is with using this type of wood glue is that it is water soluble, so I'll be able to clean this off fairly easily, and it dries clear. So that's one. I'll leave that there to dry for the moment while I start on unit 2. So as you can see, this time I'm using slightly a different technique of where I'm going to assemble. And in this way I'm showing you that, yeah, you don't necessarily have to think that the one way that I'm doing it is the right way. There are lots of different possibilities of how this should be assembled. Now we just have to do this. This is where you need to just fiddle it until it slots in. Use like a cotton bud or your fingers to remove or smooth out the excess glue. Have it. You've now got your second arch done. Then the next bit is fairly easy. We just need to create 4 more of these basic pillars. Using these bits and assembling them pretty much the same way that we've done previously, or just by going like this. And then sliding them on like so. So this part right here just pops out the edge. So I'll just do one example. So we want this glue to go here. You could potentially like use a brush of some sort. To get the consistency right. Seeing I know that this glue dries quickly, cleanly, and leaves very little in the way of excess residue, I just like to get as much done as possible. So it's nice and sealed. Do the top cap. So I need to do 4 more of those, and then I'll get slotted in here. Until it just pops out like that. So I'm going to pause the video and do the next ones, and then I'll be straight back. And welcome back. So as you can see, I've got both sets, 2 sets of these arches now done, nice and dry. Now we need to connect them. For this, we grab 4 of these pieces, paste them back to back, so that now that they are double. And then this will be our primary support for the big arch that we're going to work on in a minute. So just glue, glue, just like so. just like so. Clean up the mold, the actual glue lines as best as possible, and then this lot will have to also leave out to dry until that sets, because obviously the next phase is going to be just that little bit trickier. So while we're waiting for that bit to dry, we'll just do a little bit further on. We'll get this arch built. Just by gluing some little bits in, and we've got these little dividers. I'll go in as such. Just like so. And then there's a trough in between. And this is where this section now goes. The next bit that we're going to work on is the supports to go across. We've already got these sections dried. Just dab a drew down the hole. Now, these have a little cut in them. That will provide for this support beam to go across, this one here, and hold the next bit of the arch in place. So we're just going to add a bit of glue down there. When it comes time for that bit to be installed. And then this flat bit goes straight across. Now, obviously at this point, it does become important that you get everything in proper straight. So you may want to use like a leveler or a square, because this is now the part where it all comes together. You got these two sticks. These two sticks will go all the way across and bind them all together. do the other side. Once that glue is nice and dry, this will now become a nice affixed bridge between the two. We then have this bit, which by the appearance of it will slot in between. So we've got to do a bit of gluing along here. Until there. Then we've got these little bits right here, which I believe will more than likely go into this slot right here as like a lock-in tag, more likely around that way, going in to lock everything in nice and tight. Like so. Then the last thing, once these corner sections have been put in, making sure it's all nice and flat against everything else, is to put the front on here and the back. So gluing up the lugs that will support it on both sides. So finally, we just finished the last one on the back side of the model. And there we have it, the Torii Arch. Now obviously we're going to wait for it to dry, which may take a little bit of time. Then we'll use like a brush just to sort of, or a file, just to clean down some of the sections that are still a little bit pointy, where the actual wood burner has not completely gone through. Then we have to undercoat. So undercoat any type of color. You'll notice that there's all these graphically designs on the wood itself don't worry, they will reappear once you've actually undercoated it. It's designed so that the brown sections do not absorb as much of the paint as the rest of it, so you'll actually see all the design coming out. The main thing, however, is to make sure that when you undercoat it, you undercoat everywhere, so every single surface needs to be done first before you go on to next color coats. And of course, at this stage you can add in additional things that you want, maybe some rubble or some sort of mechanical thing. I'll probably add in maybe a bit of like a digital display, maybe some computer screens, something along that line, to say that, like a street directory, things like that, a welcome sign maybe, who knows. This morning I've decided to come out to my shed to do some undercoating of my Torii Arch. Now, from my last video, I've done some additions to it. I've put some signs up. I've also added in a little security camera on both sides. And right here I've added a control panel and an access. All these additions come with other parts from Miniature Scenery, and I felt that they fitted in well with the basic design of this. So this will possibly be some sort of signage, advertisement, or even rules for the settlement. If people have watched some of the older Wild West, they'll usually have a sign that says what the city's name is and population, but also sometimes the likes of no guns are allowed and things like that. So I'll do some script on there on both sides. The plan for today is I need to undercoat. For that, I'm using a straight black spray paint. Then I'm going to cool it down a little bit, getting rid of the black by putting a grey on it, similar to this colour down here, or if you've seen my other videos, similar to the distribution centre, which is located way over there on my little table at the moment. So that's going to be eventually the colour of the Torii Arch, and then I'll do some highlights, graffiti, etc. So now I need to make sure that each of the areas get covered by a good coat. Seeing this is wood, it does absorb the paint a bit. You can already see it starting to absorb up here till eventually it dries out and everything. The burnt marks, they will stay there, which is nice, but if I went and put a direct top coat paint on, all the colours would just seep into the wood and not actually stand out in any way. It will just go dull. So that's why you should always put a primer on, undercoat on any type of wood terrains, and then do another coat on top of it, either the same colour if you're wanting to leave it black, or some alternate colour prior to doing any type of highlights. So. Now, obviously, with it being in my spray box. I won't be able to get everywhere. That's when this handy little jigger comes into the fore. I can easily grab it, turn it around, manipulate it ever so slightly. And continue on. Now, this is just a cardboard box. Some people use professional spray positions. I've just never felt the need. Using this is pretty good. And there you have it. There's always going to be some sections that I have missed, like along this edge right here, and also up underneath the lip, which I'll do once this coat's dry. And I'll show you that shortly. And here is my final video of my Torii Arch. As you can see, it's fully painted now in multiple different tones of grey. Some very nice light grey up the top and working darker and different shades here and there. The markings have all come out again from when it was first built, so that's also good. I did have to change up the angles quite a bit to cover all the painting on the inside, like these little edges in here, and also the corner brackets in here that just didn't quite get as good of a coating. Same thing with the underside, getting underneath the big arch to get a good color spread. Did take me a bit of time to do multiple color sweeps. I've added in like a little bit of a green wash to the signs, just gives it that computer touchpad sheen sort of thing. On this side it says up here Spaceport that way, while this one says Customs in Arbolish. And this side I've written Freetown with a population of 1,293 people, all in Arbolish. All in all, a great kit. Certainly something that I will be looking at doing more of from the company Miniature Scenery. I'm hoping that my next purchase that I'll make will be for the Crash Starfighter set, and I may be doing some modifications to their set, so it might be a slightly different type of TIE fighter. Anyway, that's it for me for today and for this series of videos. So from me, from Aussie Stern, wish you happy gaming, and I will see you on the table. Bye.